Holland Taylor, welcome to Awards Buzz. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here. How
Thank
are
you.
you?
Sure. I'm kind of dizzy because I'm in the last days of rehearsal for a show, which is tech rehearsal, which is all day and into the night. I'm about to have a wig slapped on, hence my just out of the shower look.
Well, thank you for being here amidst your busy schedule.
But
It really does mean a lot to me. So to take you back out of your current project and into the morning show, you've said that your character Sybil has sort of surprised you and she's not the typical powerful woman that you're asked to play. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, those women that I'm often asked to play, you don't really get to know them because you see them in their role, their powerful role, whatever it is. And it's not a cliche so much as, but it's a type that you see a lot, and I get offered those roles a lot. And I thought that's what this was, but the morning show was so popular, they could have really rested on their popularity and just had it skate along, but they've really tried to probe and go deep into issues and to reveal our society through the characters. So this particular character gets shown in her flaws and her insecurities and her lack of awareness of the world around her, even though she's a CEO of a media conglomerate. So it was very, very revealing to see these scripts unfold. And I was so impressed by Charlotte Stout and Mimi Later, our leaders, our creators, who wanted to show the systemic racisms, the systemic ills that are plaguing us, particularly today in our society, that should be talked about. And they did it in the show. And my character is one of the ones who is sort of revealed to be very unaware of what's going on around her in those issues, those social issues.
And I wanted to dive into that. What is that like for you to I mean, what impresses me about the morning show, as you said, is that it is willing to have these uncomfortable conversations, whether that's, and sometimes it's controversial, people have different opinions about it. What is that like for you diving into a scene that people are going to be talking about, that is very delicate?
Well, I approach it from the character's point of view, as I know Nicole Bahari did in that crucial scene that we have, that real showdown on air. And it was a very hard scene to play because the characters are so, in my case, my character is very off balance, very off her usual game, very stripped of her ability to just exercise her will through a situation. And Nicole's character is being very daring, taking a big risk, trying to maintain her composure, though she was very shaken by the things that she was talking about. So when we did that scene, it was it was it was really electric, and our attention to what we were doing and to what the script required was so intense that we were exhausted after it was over. But that's exciting. That's really exciting work when you have to be that alert. And that's what I mean by the writers really getting real here. They're not just writing an amusing show. They're writing a show that was hard and exciting to play, or I think for all the characters.
I just watched that scene right before we started, so I have to ask you, how genuine do you think Sybil is being in her regret that she's expressing? I mean, I think there is an element that she does mean what she says, but it also seems to me like she's trying to save her skin a little bit. I mean, would you agree?
Uh, by all means, particularly as the scene at the earlier part of the scene, she's trying to keep balance between being open and respectful and trying to protect her position and how people see her. But ultimately, in that scene, she is kind of not boxed into a corner, but she's kind of forced to admit. I think the word, I haven't seen the scene in a while. I think she says, "I was careless,"
Mm-hmm.
and uh, and then something like that, and that's not acceptable. Something like that, and that's a big thing to say for someone like, "I was careless,"
Yeah.
at the highest level, careless. And I don't know. I like to think that that would be a moment where she's thinking to herself, God, this is real. I have to look at this. I'm doing this on television. I've stepped in it. I've got to think about it. I mean, it's really a big thing that I don't think she would walk away from unscathed or unchanged, which is the hope.
I thought about that with myself as well, especially in season 3 and the way that it confronts these situations. You do think about, well, what would I do if I was in that situation? How do I
Right.
feel about this topic? Particularly, I think Sybil, she sees herself as somebody who's liberal minded, and so she feels like, well, maybe I'm not the target, or oh, I've done so many things that, and then
Right.
you know what I mean? So
Human,
has
yeah,
that
the
caused you to
justification.
have similar conversations with yourself, or maybe change the way you feel about certain situations?
Oh my, I mean, what it's led me to do, as other things in the media, in the entertainment world have led me to do, is think about what I take for granted about my own attitudes.
Mm.
I mean, there's Ava DuVernay has a simply superb movie out now called Origin, which shows the origin of some of our assessments of people to be racial assessments that are actually not racial.
Mm.
And it's such a stunning movie. I urge everyone to see it. But one thing it did for me is made me realize all the different ways I see it around me and myself, are constantly assessing our position. Are we in a good position here? Are we inferior? Are we topped by those people? Are we above that person? Do we have more authority? I mean, it's almost it is an animal instinct of, how am I doing? Am I okay? Am I secure? Am I safe? I mean, it's really extraordinary to have these kind of really base, bottom line feelings floating through us all through the day as we're doing sophisticated and elevated things and behaving properly. And it's sure we are very complicated, and we're functioning on many levels at once. And I've become infinitely more aware of that, infinitely more aware. And my assumptions about myself and what I believe and how I am in the world have really been, I've pried them back, and I'm saying, I'm wrong here, I'm wrong there. What was I doing even thinking that? Why would I assess that? So it's been an amazing period of time.
I'm glad you mentioned Origin. That was my favorite movie of last year. I didn't shut up about it. I told everyone to watch it. So I'm glad we got to.
Such an amazing movie.
It's beautiful. You
One of
mentioned.
the greatest movies I've ever seen, actually. It was a movie about an idea, an intellectual idea. I mean, give me a break. A movie. It's very flesh and blood.
That's so true. You know what you mentioned earlier about the morning show, how they could have just rested on their popularity. And
Absolutely.
I feel like at this point in your career, you're an absolute legend and you can do the same thing, but you continue to pick roles that challenge you and surprise you. And you had Billions this year, Quiz Lady. I mean, tell me about that. You have such a curiosity and passion for what you do. What have you continued to learn as you evolve and continue to grow?
Oh my word. It's just, I mean, I don't feel that I've gotten to some level where I can rest on anything. I find acting is still a tremendous challenge. It's such a complicated thing, where you're doing certain technical things that you have to meet, and also trying to ride on an imaginative, emotional life of your character. I mean, it will never not be a fascinating and challenging thing to do. And as for roles that I play, I'm lucky. I've been offered some very provocative ones. The role on Billions is wonderful. That's an incredible show. And Quiz Lady, to play a character that I never get to play. And a very sort of hard scrabble, ordinary woman who's bad tempered, and well, I play bad tempered very well. But
Mhm.
I get these opportunities to work with wonderful people and to play challenging material, and it never would occur to me to say, oh, I think I'd rather just lie on my divan and read the New Yorker. Although I would like to read the New Yorker.
Wouldn't we all like to get to the New Yorker? And I have to tell you, as a Texan, lifelong Texan, one of my favorite roles of yours was, of course, Ann Richards. And I was not lucky enough to see it in person. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know, in college at the time or something. But tell me about that. And would you ever bring her back to the stage? I hope so. I hope so.
Well, I wrote that, and it took a couple of years of research and writing, and then developing it. I'm bringing it through various theaters. We did I think 7 or 8 runs of it in big theaters like the Schubert in Chicago and the Paramount in Austin and the Zach in Austin and San Antonio to refine it, hone it, and shorten it, get it tighter for Broadway. Then we did it on Broadway, and then we went back to Texas. I said I'd always bring it back to Texas, and then I played it. I did actually bring it back almost 2 years ago at the Pasadena Theater in California, because I wanted to do it on the West Coast. I've now done it in every major theater capital in the States. And so it was quite something to do it 2 years ago. So that was about 10 years after Broadway. So I actually think, and it is terrifically demanding. I mean, it is 2 hours on stage, or a little less than 2 hours on stage by myself. And she's not an introspective woman, so she's always on. So it's on full blast for that length of time. And I think the last run 2 years ago is I did retire my personal performance from Anne, so I won't be bringing it back. But other actors are playing it, and they got a lot of nerves, and they're doing it well.
Is there another cultural icon that you think you could play or would like to play, or?
Well, that was like a mission. I was truly inspired. I was shanghaied by the spirit of Ann Richards. I had to create a piece about her. It was not a professional idea. It was not a vehicle. It was a creation that mattered to me more than anything I've ever done in my life. It was the achievement of my life. So that was a special one-off. There'll never be anything like that again. First of all, I mean, I don't have the time left in my life to research and do in a whole nother play. No, that was a special case. That was really a special case. That wasn't I know, I'll do a one-woman show. Let's see about who. Oh, Governor Richards would be good. No, wasn't that at all.
Yeah.
This came via Governor Richards.
Divine intervention.
I'm sorry, but I actually think so. That show had so many blessings, so many wonderful things happened to that production. Invitation to do it at the Kennedy Center, Lincoln Center. I mean, one thing after another. That was just, it was like someone was working on it from upstairs. So it was very special.
To bring it back to the morning show as we close out, do you think that you can come back? Have we seen the last of Sybil? Have you heard anything about season 4?
I don't know. No, I don't know anything about it. I think from what I got at the end of last season was she is back to an ownership position in the company. Maybe the company will get sold. I mean, I think that Sybil's arc was quite complete. I'm certainly happy with it. So I don't know anything about any future possibilities where they might need her for something. I mean, she could always come in and throw a monkey wrench in somebody's plans for something. I mean, I could still function in a plot way, but I think the arc of the character was quite well used up.
Mm-hmm. Holland, as I let you go, is there anything that I haven't asked you about that you wanted to mention? I feel like I could stay in your orbit and in your brain for forever.
Well, thank you. Are you based in New York?
I'm based in Houston.
Oh, Houston.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm about to do a show in New York called NA, which is a political dialogue between two characters, one of whom is rather like the former Democratic Speaker of the House, and the other is like very much like a new brash Congresswoman from Queens and the Bronx. But it's mostly about ideas, the political back and forth of ideas. And it's at Lincoln Center at the Mitzi Newhouse. So that's what I'm doing now, about to be.
Well, I will book a trip. It seems like a good excuse to get to New York. Like I said, I will always regret missing your Ann Richards, so I think I have to.
Well, you can see it on PBS. It's streams on great performances at PBS. You can see it anytime you want.
That's true. I will include a
Very
link.
well filmed.
Holland, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. I truly appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.